This is an audio-visual presentation on simultaneous linear equation. Simultaneous equations are a group of algebraic equations which are all satisfied by the same set of values of variables. Now, these are the methods we are going to consider as far as simultaneous linear equation is concerned. We have the elimination method, we have the substitution method, and we have the graphical method. So we will take an example and see how best we can use all these three methods to solve the problem. And at the end of the day, we will compare the answers. Now, example, solve the simultaneous equation 2x plus 3y equals 8. 5x minus y equals 3. Now, solving for the simultaneous equation means that we are supposed to solve for the variables, that is x and y. Now, this equation means that when we multiply 2 by the value of x and we add it to 3 times the value of y, the result must give us 8. Also, when we multiply 5 by x and we subtract y from it, the result is supposed to give us 3. Now we have to find the value of x and y for which these two equations are satisfied. Which satisfy these two equations. Now let's begin with the elimination method. These are the two equations we are given. We have 2x plus 3y equals 8. Let this be our equation 1. And we have 5x minus y equals 3. Let this be our equation 2. Now, with the elimination method, what we do is we eliminate one of the variables so that we can find the other variable. Now, in this question, we are going to eliminate y. And the approach is the same when we want to eliminate x. Now, because we want to eliminate y, our concentration is on the y. When we look at the coefficient, the constant coefficient of y in equation 1 is 3. By the constant coefficient of y in equation 2 is 1. Take note that 1y is the same as y. That is why the 1 cannot be seen. So the constant coefficient of y in equation 1 is 3. But the constant coefficient of y in equation 2 is 1. Now, you can see that the constant coefficients are of opposite signs. That is, we have plus in equation 1 and we have minus in equation 2. Now, with the elimination method, we either add the two equations together or we subtract one equation from the other in order to eliminate one of the variables. Now, when the signs are opposite, as we have here, we have plus and minus. When the signs are opposite, to eliminate the variable y, we need to add the two equations together. Take note that when the signs are the same, that is when the two signs are all positive, we subtract one equation from the other. But when the signs are opposite, that is we have plus and minus, we add the two equations together. Now, after considering the sign, the second thing you have to take note is the constant coefficient of the y in both equations. The constant coefficient of y in equation 1 is 3, but the constant coefficient of y in equation 2 is 1. Before we can add the two equations together to eliminate y, we have to make sure that the y has the same constant coefficient in both equation 1 and equation 2. That means that we have to multiply equation 2 by a constant. And so, from equation 1, we have 2x plus 3y equals 8. And now equation 2, we have 5x minus y equals 3. So we multiply the whole of equation 2 by the constant 3. Now 3 times 5x equals 15x. 3 times minus y equals minus 3y. And 3 times 3 equals 9. This is our equation 3. Take note that this is no more equation 2 because we have multiplied the whole of equation 2 by the constant 3. So now we have these two equations, equation 1 and equation 3. So we have 2x plus 3y equals 8 from equation 1. Then 15x minus 3y equals 9. This is our equation 3. Now we can see that the constant coefficients are the same. That is 3, 3. But the signs are opposite. So because the signs are opposite, that is why we are going to add the two equations together. If the signs are the same, you subtract one from the other. But because the signs are the same, the signs are opposite, we now add the two equations together. Because the signs are opposite, we now add the two equations together so that we can eliminate y, and at the end we find x. So now we understand how the elimination method goes. So we multiplied equation 2 by 3, and that is how come we had equation 3. And I guess by now you understand how we had equation 3. So now let's proceed. Solving equation 1 and equation 3 simultaneously. We have 2x plus 3y equals 8. This is our equation 1. And we have 15x minus 3y equals 9. This is our equation 3. Now we are going to add equation 1 and equation 3 because the signs are opposite. So we add the like terms. 2x plus 15x. So we have 2x plus 15x plus 3y plus minus 3y. This is equal to whatever we do on the left hand side, we do the same thing on the right hand side. That means that on the right hand side, we have to add the constants 8 and 9. So 8 plus 9. And 8 plus 9 is equal to 17. Now 2x plus 15x is equal to 17x. And 3y plus minus 3y is equal to 3y minus 3y. And this is equal to 17. Now 3y minus 3y equals 0. And 0 plus 17x equals 17x. So we have 17x is equal to 17. Now from 17x plus 3y minus 3y equals 17, we said that 3y minus 3y will give us 0, and 0 plus 17x will give us 17x. So we have 17x on the left hand side is equal to 17 on the right hand side. Because we are solving for x, we divide the left hand side by 17 and we divide the right hand side by 17. When we divide the left hand side by 17, we are left with x. When we divide the right hand side by 17, we have 17 divided by 17, and the result is 1. That means that the value of x is equal to 1. Now, from equation 1, 2x plus 3y is equal to 8. Now, after calculation, we had x equals 1. So we are now going to put x equals 1 into equation 1. We are now going to substitute 1 wherever we see x in equation 1. And so from equation 1, we have 2x plus 3y equals 8. Now, substituting x equals 1, we have 2 times 1 plus 3y is equal to 8. 2 times 1 equals 2 plus 3y equals 8. Now, we are solving for y. So let's group the constant on the right hand side. So 2 becomes minus 2 on the right hand side. So we have 3y is equal to 8 minus 2. And 8 minus 2 equals 6. Now if 3y equals 8 minus 2, we know that when we subtract 2 from 8, the result is 6. So we have 3y is equal to 6. Now we are solving for y. So we divide both sides by the constant 3. So when we divide the left hand side by 3, we are left with y. And when we divide the right hand side by 3, we are left with 6 divided by 3. And 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. That is 3 goes into 6 2 times. This implies that the value of y is equal to 2. Hence, x equals 1 and y is equal to 2. Take note of the answers. X equals 1 and y is equal to 2. Now, we are going to use the substitution method. With the substitution method, we don't eliminate any of the variables. But what we do is we make a variable the subject in any of the equations. Take note, the principle is that When you make a variable the subject from equation 1, whatever you get, you have to substitute it into equation 2. Also, when you make a variable the subject from equation 2, whatever you get should be substituted into equation 1. Now, from equation 2, 5x minus y equals 3. If 5x minus y equals 3, we make y the subject from equation 2. So minus y on the left hand side becomes y on the right hand side. And 3 on the right hand side becomes minus 3 on the left hand side. So 5x minus 3 is equal to y can also be written as y equals 5x minus 3. That is, the right hand side becomes the left hand side, and the left hand side becomes the right hand side. We have not changed anything. It's still the same equation. Now we name this equation 3. Take note that it is out of equation 2 that we've made y the subject, and we have named it equation 3. So we have to put equation 3 into equation 1. We have to put equation 3 into equation 1. Now from equation 3, we have y equals 5x minus 3. That's our equation 3. So we are now putting equation 3 into equation 1. And from equation 1, we have 2x plus 3y equals 8. So now wherever we see y, we have to substitute it by 5x minus 3. And in doing that, we have 2x plus 3 times 5x minus 3 is equal to 8. Now when we expand, we have 3 times 5x, that is 15x. 3 times minus 3 equals minus 9. So we have 2x plus 15x minus 9 is equal to 8. Now 2x plus 15x is equal to 17x. Minus 9 on the left hand side becomes plus 9 on the right hand side. And 8 plus 9 is equal to 17 on the right hand side. Is equal to 17x on the left hand side. So we have 17x on the left hand side is equal to 17 on the right hand side. We are solving for x, so we divide the left hand side by 17. We divide the right hand side also by 17. When we divide the left hand side by 17, we have x. And when we divide 17 by 17, we have 1. Because 17 goes into 17 once. So x equals 1. Now we put x equals 1 into either equation 1, equation 2, or equation 3. Now from equation 3, y equals 5x minus 3. The reason why we are choosing equation 3 is that from equation 3, y has already been made the subject. So when we substitute x equals 1, y will come out quickly. And that is why we've chosen equation 3. But you can choose either 1 or 2. You still get the same answer. Now from equation 3, y equals 5x minus 3. So if y equals 5x minus 3, now we substitute 1 wherever you see x. And in doing that, we have y equals 5 times 1 minus 3. And 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. This means that the value of y is equal to 2. Hence, x equals 1 and y equals 2. So when you compare this to the answer we had after using the elimination, you realize that it is the same answer that we have gotten after using the substitution method. X equals 1 and y equals 2. Now we use the graphical method. From the question, we were given two equations, equation 1, equation 2. So what we have to do is we need to find 2 points in order to draw each of the lines. Equation 1 is a line, equation 2 is another line. So we are going to plot these two lines. That's, we are going to draw all these two lines on the graph. Then after drawing the two lines, we will continue from there. Now we need to find 2 points in order to draw each of the lines. So let's consider the equations one by one. Now we consider the equation 1. From equation 1, we have 2x plus 3y equals 8. So when x equals 4, that means when you take x is equal to 4, you can take any value you want, but make sure you choose a reasonable value so that you can have it on the graph. When x equals 4, it means that wherever you see x, you substitute it by 4. So we have 2 times 4 plus 3y equals 8, and 2 times 4 equals 8. So we have 8 plus 3y is equal to 8. Now 8 on the left hand side becomes minus 8 on the right hand side. So we have 3y is equal to 8 minus 8, and 8 minus 8 is equal to 0. So if 3y is equal to 0 and we are making y the subject, then we have to divide both sides by 3. When we divide the left hand side by 3, we have y. When we divide the right hand side by 3, we have 0 divided by 3, and the answer is 0. That means that y is equal to 0 when x is equal to 4. And for every point, we have the x coordinate before the y. So we have 4, 0. That is 4, 0 to be our first point on the first line from the first equation. Now, considering the same equation, we take a value for y and see the corresponding value of x. When y equals 4, then it means that wherever we see y, we substitute it by 4. So in doing that, we have 2x plus 3 times 4. Instead of 3y, we have 3 times 4 because y is now 4. And b is equal to 8. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Plus 12 on the left hand side becomes minus 12 on the right hand side. So we have 2x is equal to 8 minus 12. 8 minus 12 equals minus 4. If 2x is equal to minus 4, how do we solve for x? We need to divide both sides by 2. When we divide the left hand side by 2, we are left with x. When we divide the right hand side by 2, we have minus 4 over 2, and the answer is minus 2. This means that the value of x is equal to minus 2. So when y is equal to 4, x is equal to minus 2. But for every point, we have the x coordinate first before the y coordinate. So we have minus 2, 4. This is the second point on the first line from the first equation. So we now have our 2 points from the first equation. Now, we consider the second equation. From equation 2, 5x minus y equals 3. Here we also choose values of x and see their corresponding values of y. When x is 0, it means that wherever we see x, we have to substitute it by 0. So instead of 5x, we have 5 times 0 minus y equals 3. 5 times 0 equals 0, and 0 minus y is minus y. So we have minus y equals 3. Now we divide both sides by minus 1 so that we can have y but not minus y, because we are making y the subject, not minus y. So dividing the left hand side by minus 1, we are left with y. And dividing the right hand side by minus 1, we have 3 divided by minus 1, and the answer is minus 3. The x coordinate is 0 and the y coordinate now is minus 3. So it means that 0 minus 3 is the first point on the second line from the second equation. Now from the same equation 2, 5x minus y equals 3. When y equals 0, that is when we choose y to be equal to 0. Wherever we see y, we substitute it by 0. So in doing that, we have 5x minus 0 equals 3. Now 5x minus 0 equals 5x. So if 5x equals 3, how do we find x? We divide both sides by 5. And so when we divide the left hand side by 5, we are left with x. When we divide the right hand side by 5, we have 3 over 5, and this is equal to 0.6. So the x coordinate is 0.6 and the y coordinate is 0. So we have 0.6, 0 to be the second point on the second line from the second equation. Now from the first equation, the first equation was 2x plus 3y equals 8. We have the 2 points 4, 0 and minus 2, 4. From the second equation, 5x minus y equals 3, we have the 2 points 0 minus 3 and 0.60. So we now go to the graph with our point 4, 0 and minus 2, 4. Now locating the point 4, 0. 4 is on 4 on the x and 0 on the y. So we have 4, 0, and this is our point. That's the point 4, 0. Then we also have point minus 2, 4. Minus 2 on the x and 4 on the y. So this is our second point. That is minus 2, 4. This is our second point. So we now have these 2 points from the first equation. So what we do is now to draw a straight line passing through these 2 points. And this is the straight line of the equation 2x plus 3y equals 8. Now we also consider the points from the second equation, 0 minus 3 and 0.60. And so we have 0 on the x minus 3 on the y. That is the point. and 0.60. That is 0.6 on the x and 0 on the y. Now we also draw a straight line passing through these 2 points, and this is the equation 5x minus y equals 3. Now when we look at this graph, you can see that these two lines intersect at a point, and this is the point. Now you trace the point vertically downwards to the x-axis, and the value there is 1. You also trace the point horizontally to the y-axis, and that is the point 2. That means when you trace the point vertically to the x-axis, we have the x-coordinate, that is x equals 1. And when you trace the point horizontally to the y-axis, we have 2. That means that x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. When we compare this with the answers we had after using the elimination and the substitution, you realize that it is the same answers we had. That is what we do. That is, after drawing the two lines, you look for the point of intersection and trace it vertically downwards to the x-axis. That will give you the x-coordinate. Then you trace it horizontally to the y-axis, and that will give you the y-coordinate. So we have x equals 1 and y equals 2. This is the end of our presentation on simultaneous linear equation.